This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, and day 4 of our simulcast, the Stephen A. Smith Show simulcast, live on ESPN News every weekday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. to noon, Pacific Standard Time. The list goes on and on. Check your local listings as well. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. Lots of stuff to get into today. Got some NFL preseason games, Super Bowl rematch, Philadelphia Eagles visiting Foxborough, of course. The New York Jets are going to go up against the Washington Redskins, of course. Pittsburgh Steelers, without Big Ben Roethlisberger, are going to go up against that bad man, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Lots of stuff to talk about there. Little baseball stuff to get into as well. Some basketball stuff I must get into first and foremost, because Daryl Morey, the general manager for the Houston Rockets, decided to go on the national airwaves and speak blasphemy. Blasphemy. There's no other way to put it. Daryl Morey, the general manager for the Houston Rockets, one of the elite executives in the game of basketball that's found a way to keep the Houston Rockets relevant and within championship contention, although there is no ring to show for his efforts at this particular juncture, felt the need to speak. And I forget who, because I don't have all my paperwork in front of me right now. My computer's crashed, so forgive me if I don't know all the nuances there. Who to give credit to, for who specifically, who exactly he said what he said to. But Daryl Morey, the general manager for the Houston Rockets, had this to say when comparing the great LeBron James to the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan. Listen to this and why I'm so perturbed.
You just look at his ability to, generate wins and championship probability over time, and you basically break that down. And obviously, you don't need all the numbers. You can watch as well and see that. But if you basically isolate that and also look at the career he's had, frankly, I think it's at this point it's become a bit of a big margin actually, where he's come out ahead. I know that's a little controversial.
That was Daryl Morey on the Dan Patrick Show. Let me say this. I'm so sick and tired of this argument. I called in the NBA radio yesterday, to speak on this issue. I was on Sports Center live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday afternoon talking about this very subject with my man Michael Leaves. I'm still annoyed by it. I'm still annoyed. Now, let me make sure I throw the caveat out there, because we have to understand that LeBron James, the greatest player in the world, who's also incredibly charitable and philanthropic. We've seen his efforts in Akron, Ohio. We see what he's done with creating the school through his I Promise initiative, putting thousands of kids along with their parents through school, guaranteeing them an education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We get all of this, because we want to make sure that we throw all the superlatives out there about LeBron James, because God help us if we don't do that. God help us if we don't do that. I mean, far be it for us to just talk about basketball. If we venture beyond that and we talk about something beyond basketball and we don't make sure to inundate LeBron James, his brand, his peeps, and beyond with the appropriate level of praise to make them feel good, God help us all. Because we certainly can't be ultra critical of the greatness of LeBron James. We just can't do that. We can't sit up there and shower him with praise and a bunch of laudables, highlighting all the great things about him. We have to make sure we point out not just a great basketball player, not just philanthropic and charitable, but he's a great husband. He's a great father. He's very charitable. He cares about his community. He's socially conscientious. All of these things. We've got to make sure that we do that, because God help me and anybody for that matter, who fails to recognize and point those things out about the great LeBron James. I mean, we're committing blasphemy if we do that, if we don't do that. Well, we have to make sure that I shower him with enough praise. Oh, I forgot. I almost forgot. Did I forget to bring up the fact he's a damn good actor. He's a great television producer. I mean, and then you see, his business acumen. My goodness, even though Kobe Bryant just turned a $6 million investment into $200 million, LeBron is even better. We got to make sure these things. We got to make sure these things, because God help me if I don't make sure to point out all of these great things about LeBron James before I get to the issue of basketball. And oh, by the way, I don't think he's the GOAT. I think that's Michael Jordan. Did you know that that's insulting to LeBron James? Or at least the people who represent him? Did you know? I'm insulting LeBron James if I said he's the second best player ever in the history of basketball. But I will tell you why I disagree with Daryl Morey, the general manager for the Houston Rockets, who I profoundly respect. First of all, you got a player in James Harden, a star in James Harden, who I believe his game is more resembling Michael Jordan than LeBron James, because he's a scoring machine, incredibly aggressive. He's an assassin within his own right, although he clearly does not close like Michael Jordan did. But Daryl Morey is married to analytics for the most part. And I'm not poo-pooing that. This is not an insult against Daryl Morey. The man knows the game. He's done an exceptional job. I'm actually a fan of his. And by the way, his wife is a fan of mine because she loves General Hospital and she has watched Brick show up as the surveillance expert for the mob and my man Sonny Corinthos. And by the way, to Mrs. Morey, Brick is returning to General Hospital September 6th and September 7th. I just want to throw that out there as an aside. And for those of you who are looking at the background and saying this ain't the studio that Stephen A was in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week, it's because I'm at an undisclosed location right now. But let me say this and get back to it because I digress. Daryl Morey knows basketball. Daryl Morey is phenomenal. He's done a great job with the Houston Rockets. But I think he's married to the analytics. He's married to numbers. And you guess what I'm about? I'm not just about numbers. I'm about moments. I think Russell Westbrook's numbers are phenomenal. Is Daryl Morey willing to say he's a better point guard than Chris Paul? A better point guard. Russell Westbrook's a better talent. He's more athletic. He's the most athletic point guard we've ever seen in NBA history. Plus, he's a better scorer in my estimation. He's absolutely positively unstoppable. Russell Westbrook. But is he a pure, quintessential, prototypically better point guard than Russell Westbrook? I got the answer for you. Hell no. He's not. When you talk about floor generalship, Chris Paul is one of the greatest of this generation. There is no question about this. There's no debate about this. I refuse to entertain a debate about that personally. In terms of a quintessential prototypical point guard, being a floor general, getting others involved, knowing everybody's job description, and maximizing the abilities of those around you. Ask DeAndre Jordan what life has been like without Chris Paul. Ask Blake Griffin what life has been like without Chris Paul. I'm not talking about personalities. I'm talking about game. Ask them. If they'll tell you the truth, you'll know I'm right. But I go a little step further to address Daryl Morey's point. The biggest point that I want to say about Daryl Morey and what he's pointing out that really perturbs me is that I look at it from this perspective. LeBron James has 6 NBA Finals losses. Michael Jordan has 0. We want to talk about what LeBron could have done. Well, what about what Michael Jordan could have done? If he hadn't retired from basketball to go and play baseball for a couple of years, he would have won 8 straight. Because I'm here to tell you right now, the Houston Rockets, with Hakeem Olajuwon, with Robert Horry, with Mario Elie, with Kenny Smith and beyond, they would not have beaten Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and the Chicago Bulls if Michael Jordan had stayed playing for both years. I don't want to hear about 1995. The man came back with 17 games left. Michael Jordan, a career 50.5% shooter from the field in 13 years with the Chicago Bulls, shot 41% from the field the last 17 damn games. Because he was playing baseball and swinging at air, or hitting air rather, while trying to hit fastballs and curveballs and all of that stuff. Where was it, in Alabama? That's what happened. So I'm not even counting that. If Michael Jordan had never left the game and played those 2 full seasons, the Knicks wouldn't have been in the finals against Houston, and Orlando wouldn't have been in the finals against Houston. They both would have lost to the Chicago Bulls. And so would Houston. So I don't want to hear that. Now let me take this a step further. Michael Jordan's a 9-time All-NBA first-team defensive player. 9 times. LeBron would be 5. Michael Jordan religiously accepted the toughest assignments that his position demanded. LeBron James has repeatedly avoided them. He picks his spots, little gaps here and there, and I'm not talking about what he can't do because LeBron can pretty much do what he wants. I'm talking about what he elected to do. It has facilitated longevity, staying power, and beyond for him, which is why I defuse the argument about more years in the league that he has had. Not to mention the fact that the game is considerably softer now. Soft as cottonelle tissue compared to what it used to be. LeBron didn't have to play in that era. Michael Jordan did. And last but not least, to the Kobe Bryants, to the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, and Scottie Pippen and others that would lean on LeBron James. Here's what I would say. Not that Kobe did, because I'm not saying he did that. But a Kareem who talks about not comparing eras. And Isaiah Thomas who would go with LeBron. A Kobe Bryant who wouldn't compare eras. You know what I say to all of those people, including Scottie Pippen? You are disrespectful to your era. Because the fact of the matter is, throughout life, preceding eras contributed to, facilitated, and helped elevate the successive era. Would Kobe Bryant have been Kobe Bryant if it wasn't for MJ? Would MJ have been MJ if it wasn't for Dr. J? Would Dr. J have been Dr. J if it wasn't for David Thompson or Connie Hawkins? There's an era that precedes you that enables the succeeding era to realize its potential and ultimately reach its fruition. How we ignore this is beyond me. I don't get it. I don't understand it, not even a little bit. So to me, Michael Jordan, who had 7 consecutive years of averaging over 30, and the one hiccup was when he took off to play baseball. Michael Jordan, who was an elite defensive player 9 times. That Michael Jordan, who not only went 6 for 6 in an NBA Finals, but never even allowed a series to get 7 games in the finals. That Michael Jordan is the greatest ever. I appreciate the greatness of LeBron. He is phenomenal. And him, his being socially conscious, his being philanthropic, his being the businessman, the pioneer of a businessman to some degree that he is in this generation. Although that wouldn't have been able to be pulled off either if Magic and Jordan didn't pave the way for him. And subliminally, figuratively, literally, and spiritually open the doors of mass appeal to the likes of the LeBron James in this world. All of those things says to me, Michael Jordan is the greatest. You want to have a debate about LeBron James being number 2 or number 3? Go for it. Don't come to me with number 1. Not when I can point out all of those things without even bringing up his performance in the finals against the Dallas Mavericks. And also keep this in mind, Mr. Daryl Morey, and you know I love you. Keep this in mind. When we're talking about all of this, your best argument, Daryl Morey, would be this. I take LeBron all day, every day over the course of an 82-game regular season. But who would I take in moments that really, really count, that really, really matter? We talk about Jordan. Damn it, some people bring up Larry Bird before LeBron James. Let's not forget that. Let's make sure we understand that. And let's make sure we appreciate the fact that, look, as great as he is, and his overall body of work speaks to his greatness and him being on the Mount Rushmore, there are too many moments to point to where he wasn't that. There ain't that many moments to point to when it comes to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. That is the number to call up to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, and ESPN News. Something else I want to get into, because this happened yesterday, or last night to be exact, in the sport of Major League Baseball. And I got to tell you something right now. I want to be on the record about this, because this kid, Ronald Acuna Jr., for the Atlanta Braves, he's 20 years old. I think he's going to be 21 in December. He was plucked last night by Jose Urena for the Miami Marlins with a 97.5 mile per hour fastball. He got hit in his left elbow. Benches cleared, not once, but twice. Urena's sitting there trying to egg the Atlanta Braves on, trying to talk about let's get into a fight or whatever the case may be. Ladies and gentlemen, this man, first of all, he should be suspended. But secondly, and more importantly, here's what disgusts me more than anything else. Folks in Major League Baseball. Now, I've watched baseball for many years. I've been a fan of Major League Baseball for many years. My father is an encyclopedia when it comes to baseball. My brother, Jeff Brown, my man, one of my best friends in the world, out in L.A. I don't know too many people that know more baseball than him. And folks like that and knowledgeable about the sport of baseball, far more knowledgeable than even I, and I know my baseball. These guys swear Urena had to do that, because Acuna was sitting up there and smacking home runs left and right. He had hit home runs in 8 straight games. He had hit leadoff home runs for the game in the previous 3 games against the Marlins. And then you've got guys like television analysts for the New York Mets, Keith Hernandez, saying stuff like this. Listen to this.
Killing you. You've lost 3 games. Right. He's hit 3 home runs. You got to hit him. I'm sorry. I mean, people are not going to like that. But, you got to hit him, knock him down. At least, seriously knock him down if you don't hit him. And you never throw at anybody's head. You never throw at anybody's head or neck. You hit him in the back. You hit him in the fanny.
That right there, that drivel right there. I respect Keith Hernandez. This is not an indictment against the wonderful job that he does for that pathetic team known as the New York Mets. This is not a knock against him overall in any way. I'm only speaking about the comment that Keith Hernandez made right there. That's pathetic. It's weak. And more importantly, it personifies why baseball sucks. Why it absolutely stinks with the 18 to 34 demographic. You got youngsters out there that baseball is trying to ingratiate itself with. You got a younger generation that is ignoring America's national pastime to the benefit of the National Basketball Association and the National Football League. And when you wonder why, here is what you have. Absence of competition. If this guy is smacking home runs, why in the hell do you have to plunk him? How come you can't go up there and strike him out? Ain't that your job? I got my brother Jeff Brown reaching out to me because, again, I lean on that brother when I want to know all the nuances and intricacies of baseball. I don't just listen to my man Tim Kirkjian, the great Tim Kirkjian, or Buster Olney, or the bevy of astute baseball analysts like Carl Ravitch and others that we have available at this network. Remember what I tell you, I say through in my speeches all the time. I'm a brilliant brother because I know I'm not. I simply listen to those who are, and I learn from them. And that is why I bring up those names. Some are in this business. Some are in clubhouses that I know personally that I could pick up the phone and call. And then I've got people like my dad and one of my best friends in the world and one of the greatest people I've ever known, and my brother, my friend, Jeff Brown, who'll educate me about this stuff, the nuances that come along with baseball. And they'll talk about how this had to be done. But guess what? It did not. It did not have to happen. You pay to watch folks compete, and you compete because that's what sports calls for. I can go up on a mound and plunk somebody. It might not be with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, but damn it, I could have hit the dude. How hard is that? Let me go up to the plate. I'm not even trying to throw a strike. I'm going to hit you. What's the incentive, the motivation behind it? Oh, my goodness. Did he sit up there and brag? Did he stick up his middle finger at me? Did he disrespect me? No. His job is to get up to that plate and try to get hits. The kid's got 19 homers. He's batting .288 on the year. He's hit homers in 8 straight games, including 3 straight leadoff home runs to start a game against Miami. That was his crime. And because of that, you pluck him with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball? Now, you got some people who'll try to lie, and they'll say, oh, that wasn't Urena's intent. Because after all, it was a Major League Baseball high 14 hitters that he hit last year. This year, he's leading the majors again, having plucked 11 thus far after hitting Okina last night. But here's the reality of the situation. He was egging them on like he didn't give a damn. So one would surmise you did it intentionally. And why did you do that? Because he did his job hitting home runs or getting on base. You don't strike him out. This is the problem with baseball. You get stuck in traffic. You show up to a baseball stadium after braving traffic with 30 or 40 or 50,000 people. You pay triple the amount of prices for soda and popcorn and hot dogs than you would normally pay anywhere else, because you're trying to enjoy the game and the ambiance that comes with it. You're looking forward to competition, and you're hearing about this star that's 20 years old and smacking the ball out of the park all over the place. And for no other reason other than he's doing that, you have to hit him. This is baseball. You want to know why baseball's suffering with interest and ratings from a national perspective, not regional, but national? You want to know why baseball's struggling in terms of ingratiating itself with a younger demographic? This ain't the only reason, but this is definitely part of it. The game ain't fast enough. And some of these traditional stuff, this younger generation of folks ain't buying any longer. You pay to see people compete. If you're going to complain about super teams in basketball, superstar athletes joining up with one another, how bad do you think it annoys people to watch somebody get hit, get plunked, just because they smacking home runs? Baseball's pathetic on this issue. Absolutely, positively pathetic. Not collectively, because there have been people speaking out against Urena, but anybody who supports this, including Keith Hernandez, who I respect. I'm only talking about this issue. It's a pathetic position to take. It's non-comparative. And damn it, it's anti-American. Just absolutely, positively pathetic. Well, some will say maybe it's not anti-American because this is America's national pastime and it's been going on with this for decades. Well, maybe that's why we don't give a damn about baseball compared to what we used to. Because of nonsense like this. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Back with your phone calls and more in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A., ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Allie's mom knew she had a strong kick even back in the womb. And from then on, Allie was always kicking a ball and saying she was going to play pro soccer. And one day, while she was kicking a ball against a wall, her skills drew even more attention. Her boss said, "Could you please stop that and get me those quarterly numbers I asked for?" Turns out Allie just wasn't that good a talker. But she was a good accountant. That's why she switched to Geico. She knew they could save her a bunch of money on car insurance. And she sure wasn't ever going to make that pro soccer money. No, sir.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Y'all hear that music in the background? That's the wonderful, the incomparable Aretha Franklin, who lost her battle this morning with pancreatic cancer. Our condolences, our heartfelt condolences goes out to her family, all of her loved ones, her fans everywhere. An incredible, incredible loss for the music world and for all of us. We remember so many, many voices, so many songs that she put out there. Respect. Oh my goodness. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. You know, Aretha Franklin was special. Brought former President Obama to tears with a rendition of a song she did a few years ago. The wonderful, the incomparable Aretha Franklin, gone from us much too early at age 26. By the way, the first hour, was brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Also, Discover Car believes anniversary should be a time of celebration, not obligation. That's why they think annual fees are ridiculous. And now, just for giving them a try, Discover will give new card members a 1-year anniversary gift they'll never forget. At the end of your first year, they'll match all the cash back you've earned dollar for dollar. No caps and no catches. Try it and believe it at discover.com/match. Only for new card members. Limitations apply. By the way, a reminder, top of hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show today, I'll have on the great one, Mr. Mark Wahlberg. It's coming out with a movie, Mile 22, August 17th, and he's kind enough to come on the show. He's my buddy. I usually see him from time to time, and I asked him to come on, and he was more than happy to. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about his new movies. Plus, he knows his sports. Make no mistake about that. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about it. I know it's usually not popular to do this because, you know, when you work at a different network and all of that stuff, people, you know, they want to hesitate to give somebody love because they're supposed to be a competitor. But, you know, being at this undisclosed location somewhere in New York City for the day, talking about the sport of baseball, I talked about my dad. I talked about my man, Jeff Brown. I'd also be remiss in neglecting to talk about my man, Brandon Tierney. BT is what I called him. Used to work here now at CBS. One of my good, dearest friends, good man, exceptional on the sport of baseball. But why am I bringing him up just because I'm talking baseball? Because after years of being a beat writer, when I first got back to New York, being a beat writer on the NBA, you don't have time to watch baseball. And you're watching it, but, you know, you don't watch it intimately. Not like I do now, because I was too busy covering basketball. And so when I had to go on the air and I had somebody to lean on, it was my brother BT, who's forgotten more baseball than most people know. So I know he's listening to me right now. He's getting ready to do his own show later on, but I know my brother's listening to me. I wanted to let you know I love you, bro. Keep doing your thing. And I always appreciate you. You know that. My man BT, Brandon Tierney. Before I get to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN, that's 888-729-3776. Here's what I want y'all to realize about something. Getting back to the whole Acuna getting plunked by Urena. You know, this kid Acuna is special right now. He looks special. He's age 20, 19 home runs, smacked home runs in 8 straight games, leadoff home runs in 3 straight games. And you pluck him. And to me, it compromises competition. I don't see how it's complicated. And I talked about the problem that Major League Baseball has. You have a problem really ingratiating yourself with the younger demographic. You just don't get it. You just don't get it. And I'm not talking about the sport of Major League Baseball. It's not as if Commissioner Manfred doesn't try to make alterations or what have you. I genuinely like and respect him. But my point is that stuff like this has to be dissuaded. And we can't leave it for baseball to police themselves any longer. Because they want to hold on desperately to tradition. Even when a commissioner recognizes you got to change or modify with the times. Ladies and gentlemen, Think about the average ages that support these sports. Could y'all take that damn B-roll off the camera for a second? I want America looking at me right now. Right directly at me. The average fan in the National Basketball Association, the average age is 42. In football, it's 50, but that's okay because you're only playing 16 games. And it's an event because there's only 16 games. So as a result, if you're football and you're trying to ingratiate yourself with the masses out there, you want the masses who are spending money. Not just the children who watch, but the parents who buy stuff for the children. And regardless of the fact that you might be 22 or 25 or 28, there's a lot of y'all out there that might as well jump into your parents' arms and let them carry you around like a bunch of damn babies because it ain't enough of y'all paying bills. You still got your parents doing it. So if you're the National Football League, of course you want to ingratiate yourself with that audience because there's only 16 games. So having an age group or an average age group that's at 50 is not that big of a deal. Your NBA, it's 42, so there's a younger demographic you're touching. What's the average demographic with baseball? Age 57. Age 57. Do you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? That means baseball's not getting any younger. It's getting older. And without appealing to the younger demographic, you're going to fade into the twilight. That's what's going to happen to you if you're baseball, which is why it's even more important you don't listen to the Keith Hernandezes of the world when they say stuff like that. That you don't listen to my boy, Jeff Brown, who knows I'm right, but says this is baseball. That you don't listen to my daddy, who swears this is what it is. This is what it's all about, holding on in the 1960s. It's 2018. You can't do this. You gotta be better than this. You cannot do this. You don't pluck a man because he's hitting home runs against you. You strike him out. That's what you do. That's what competitors do. If this were Randy Johnson, if this were Roger Clemens, hell, if this was Kershaw Bumgarner, if this was Chris Sale, if this was Jacob deGrom, what you gonna do? Hit him or you gonna strike him out? You gotta give the paying customer what the hell they came to see. That's how you keep them. That's how you grow the sport. I mean, this stuff drives me nuts. The stuff that these folks approve. It's ridiculous. Baseball keeps this up. They ain't gonna be serving no damn chocolate milk or sodas at games or milkshakes. They're gonna be providing everybody with Ensure because that's what their audience is gonna be. Get it together. Go out there and compete like every damn body else. I went to a Yankee game years ago, getting stuck in traffic, going to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Paid $45 for parking. About $20 damn just for a soda and a hot dog. Looking forward to seeing Barry Bonds for the Giants in a rare appearance in American League against the Yankees. And they walked them. Why the hell did I pay for that? This is just ridiculous. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio and simulcast on ESPN News. It's been a long off season without football, but FanDuel has spent it getting into the best shape of their lives. That means this. FanDuel is ready for more. More ways to play, more ways to challenge your friends, and most importantly, more ways to win. And FanDuel also has new options for playing daily fantasy with your friends, because the only thing better than winning cash is winning your friends' cash. They even have preseason fantasy contests running up to week 1. of the NFL season. Right now, you can get a $20 bonus when you make your first deposit on FanDuel. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/Stephen A. Age and state restrictions absolutely, positively do apply. 888-SAY-ESPN. That is always the number to call on the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio and now simulcast on ESPN News. Back with more before my man Mark Wahlberg shows up in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! ESPN Radio, the Stephen A. Smith Show is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. Plus, get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro, plus premium gasoline. 888-SAY-ESPN, that's always the number to call. 888-729-3776. Jermaine, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, buddy, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Stephen A? Good work, brother.
I'm good. Talk to me. Thank you.
Two quick things about baseball. I've been a baseball fan a long time. It's sickening to see these pitchers throwing at these hitters. If they hit Mookie Betts or J.D. Martinez and put them out for the postseason, all hell's going to break loose. But my question to you is, why doesn't baseball do something about this bench clearing brawls? Someone's going to get hurt. In basketball, I'm
not worried about. Listen. Stop. I'm not worried about the bench clearing brawls. If people want to get into a fight, that stuff happens, and then you deal with it accordingly. You can suspend them if you have to. What I'm most concerned about is this. You know what? Suspend Urena. Suspend. I don't give a damn if it's half the season. And by the way, that guy that just came back to the Astros involving domestic violence, I had spoken about it, but I never realized that was him in this particular video that I saw until yesterday. When I saw that video of him yesterday, the way he hit that woman in that staircase, he's lucky he got only 75 games, and he's lucky he's not in jail. He really, really is, because he should be behind bars.
He'd be in behind bars and out of work.
Yes, he should be behind bars. When I saw that, I say he should be behind bars.
But if you're a pitcher and you hit 10 people in a season, this can't happen. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's 11 now. He hit 14 last year. He hit 11 now. They're speaking to control or what have you. That wasn't about control. That was about the fact that everybody was expecting Acuna to get hit because he had been smacking home runs all over the place. So in other words, the more successful you are, that's what's going to happen. So what would they have done to Barry Bonds? Who's going to get hit next? What if Mike Trout goes on a tear? What if Bryce Harper goes on a tear? What if the box office attraction somehow go on a tear? Is that what you're going to do to them because baseball, unwritten rules demand it? This nonsense. It makes no damn sense. And this is exactly what baseball has to address. They need to get up with the times. They really, really do. Stop holding on to tradition. This new generation don't give a damn about that. I don't see anybody driving around with 1950 Volkswagens. I don't see anybody just, riding cars looking like the Flintstones, pedaling for crying out loud. It's a new day. It's a new day. And baseball needs to get with the damn program. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. ESPN Radio on Sirius XM. Plus simulcast on ESPN News. The great Mark Wahlberg, star of the new movie Mile 22, coming out August 17th. He's up next with Stephen A. You know where.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Coming at you right here. Not just on ESPN Radio and 250 plus markets across the United States of America. Not just on ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, but also simulcast live on national television via ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. We'll get back to some of the baseball talk, NBA talk, and I'll get into some NFL talk as well. But right now, it is my honor and privilege to have on the line with me right now the star of the new movie coming out this Friday, August 17th. The one and only Mark Wahlberg is on the line with me right now. What's going on, big time? How are you?
Steven, how are you, sir? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing all right, man. No problem at all. What are you up to right now? Are you good? You're all straight,
Man,
buddy?
No. Right now, I'm in a kayak with my 14-year-old daughter in the bay in Cape Cod. She's trying to paddle us back against the current here, and
okay.
I'm just hoping we make it. But she's a
don't
beast.
worry. Well, listen. I appreciate you coming on the show, but I want you to be safe out there, though. So I understand if you got to pause a little bit just to make sure you're safe. But I wanted you to talk to us about this movie coming out because I'm looking forward to seeing it. Tell us about this movie.
I guarantee it's the best action movie you've seen in a long time. It's a character-driven action movie. Pete Berg and I directed the film. This is our fourth movie together. The first three films that we did were all based on real-life tragedies. And we decided, we're going to have our version of fun this time around. And so we created a really cool character-driven action movie that's based on real people. This branch of the CIA is called Ground Branch and Overwatch, and these people are out there. They're doing these kinds of jobs, brave men and women who don't get the recognition that a lot of our armed service do because they're below the radar. But it's an amazing story about us trying to prevent this terrorist attack and taking this guy who wants asylum and trying to get him from an embassy all the way into this airport. And within this 22-mile trip, lots of bad people trying to stop us and prevent us from getting him to his destination.
I saw that the great John Malkovich is going to be in this film with you, but you also talked about the contents of the movie in terms of, the CIA is involving the CIA, is involving, trying to ward off a terrorist attack or what have you. Timing is everything. The times that we're living in right now, how much did that incentivize you to do this kind of project?
It was just one of those things where it was really just our idea to have fun, but it's amazing how, we have all this Russian hacking going on with the election and everything, and, our communication devices and everything are actually being hacked during this film, and we obviously weren't able to predict the future, but our writer, Lee Carpenter, she's actually very, very connected to lots of CIA operatives. This is her world, so she really kind of understands it and has a good insight on the past, present, and the future of these government agencies. So a lot of stuff that people can recognize is going on today and that will continue to happen.
Now, how much is this relatable? And I'm not talking about content per se, but I'm saying you say it's an action film. You've been in 2 Transformer movies in 2014, Age of Extinction, and obviously The Last Night in 2017. Everybody loved you in The Departed. We got Boogie Nights, Lone Survivor, Ted, Daddy's Home. The list goes on and on. You talked about this action film being better than some of those things that you've done already. What makes this so much better than the others?
It's just such great storytelling and such great writing. It's a sophisticated action movie. You think about the character that I play, it's more in the vein of Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive, who just has a job to do. He's the lighthouse. He never turns off. But this guy's also very vocal. He's not the kind of, brooding anti-action hero, anti-hero who has a man of few words. This guy is opinionated about anything and everything, and he steamrolls everybody and everything that he comes across. But when he gets into the action, and, so you got a great hour of really setting up the story, understanding this agency and how these worlds operate. And then once the action starts, we step on the gas, it just never stops.
The great Mark.
Visceral, you really feel like you're in it. You're stuck in your seat for the entire time. You're not worried about eating popcorn or going to the bathroom.
All right. I'm going to remember you said that, the great Mark Wahlberg, kayaking with his wonderful 14-year-old daughter, but still taking time to be right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. So with that being said, I'm going to look forward to this movie. I can't wait to see it. Is this the path that Mark Wahlberg is taking? You're trying to be the new action hero? I mean, because you do so many different things. Is it just about this movie, or is this an agenda of yours? Do you have more fun doing action movies more so than anything else?
No, you know what? At 47 years old, people ask me if I'm still doing all my own stunts and stuff. I'm getting old. I like the guy being behind the desk barking orders too. But also, I got a comedy, a family comedy coming out after this. I mix it up. I want to be able to be the guy who can kind of do it all and not be, pigeonholed into one genre. So I think, but with $6 Billion Man, I think that's the big other swing with, in the action genre. But again, grounded in reality. And so, I like to mix it up. I got comedy, drama, action, a lot of different things coming.
I tell you what, when am I going to see some of your brothers doing this? I mean, especially Donnie, because I've seen him on a few Boston Celtics games, obviously last year. I watch him on Blue Bloods. I think he's doing a phenomenal job with all of that. When are we going to see your brothers in some more movies?
You know what? I think he's pretty much locked down with his touring schedule and then all the stuff that he's doing on Blue Bloods. I think they're into like their 10th season. But he's also taken a much more active role in the restaurant business. You know, we've had 27 Wahlbergers open now. He's really I'm handling the growth of the business. My brother Paul obviously handles the customer experience and the menu, and Donnie has been involved in the management. So we've been working a lot more closely together. We've always looked for something that we could do together, just a matter of timing and finding the right thing at the right time.
Wow. The Wahlbergs, Mark Wahlberg right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Look, I'm not going to hold you too much longer because I know you're out there with your daughter and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I'd be remiss in neglecting to ask you about your New England Patriots. They seem to have taken a little step back this year, Mark Wahlberg. I mean, Gronkowski's there. Brady's still there, but Brandon Cooks is gone. Edelman and these ones. I mean, it's not the same squad. How concerned are you about your Patriots who have a preseason game tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles?
You know, what's funny is we always have the same conversation because every year at the Patriots win, you know, other players are leaving and we got new players stepping in and playing those roles and doing their job. And, you know, we got Eric Decker, Edelman will be back, and Patriots are going to be good. Who's going to beat them in the division? And they always got a chance to contend for the, you know, AFC Championship and for the Super Bowl. And we got the Red Sox right now. Got a 10-game lead on the Yankees with the best record in the league.
Why you had to bring that up?
Now.
Why you had to bring that up, Mark Wahlberg? Why you had to rub that in?
I'm not hating on the Yankees. The Yankees have the second best record in the league. You got to guarantee one-game playoff for the wild card. So no hate on the Yankees. They got 27 championships, don't they? I mean, we're just trying to find our footing.
You're just rubbing it in. I did not ask you anything about your Red Sox because you know I would have to bring up how my Yankees just got swept by them. But Mark Wahlberg got to bring it up just to rub my nose into it. I know I got to let you go now. The Patriots are not winning the Super Bowl.
Can I tell you one thing, though? I
Yes.
don't care where I'm at in the world. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You are the best in the business.
Well, thanks a lot, my brother. You know I appreciate that coming from you, man. I'll see you down the road, all right? You take care of yourself.
I look forward to it, Steve. Thank you, buddy. God bless.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
God bless, man. The one and only Mark Wahlberg right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Again, the new movie, Mile 22, is coming out this Friday in theaters. He was out there in the middle of some lake or whatever, kayaking with his 14-year-old daughter. So if the signal was a little garbled a little bit, my apologies for that. But he took time out of his schedule to make time to come on the show with me. So I really, really appreciate it. I want to thanks again. I want to extend my gratitude again to Mark Wahlberg for coming on the show. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio and, of course, ESPN News as well. Before I get back to the phones, there's a couple of games going on tonight, a few games actually. We got the Jets going up against the Redskins. Josh Norman says a few kind words about Sam Darnold and everybody wants to stop the presses. Look, I'm not knocking Sam Darnold. I like Sam Darnold a lot. I'm hopeful. What I'm bringing up is the history of the New York Jets and how any bloviating whatsoever tends to contaminate this franchise and work against them. And I don't want that to happen when it comes to the quarterback. I don't care about, everybody's going to bring up Chad Pennington and people like that. Last time a quarterback was really, really relevant for the New York Jets was when Richard Todd was throwing a damn football for them in the 80s when Mark Gastineau and Joe Klecko were on the team. I don't want to hear about Sam Darnold before he plays a damn game. The minute we start bloviating about him, he'll probably get hurt. Something will happen. Not to mention the fact that he threw 13 interceptions last year for USC. How do we know he's going to be that effective this year? So we can get caught up in all of that all we want to. Can we see the brother play first during a regular season game? Can we pump the brakes? Now, if you want to rave about Saquon Barkley, that's different because he's not a quarterback. He's a running back. And all you got to do is run with the football, hold on to it, and not fumble. That's all you got to do. So I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm cool with that. I truly, truly am. My issue with it is very, very simple. What I don't want is a situation where I'm looking at a guy like a Sam Darnold and everybody has these lofty expectations without taking into account what he has to work with. Saquon Barkley, you give him the ball, create a hole, let him run. Sam Darnold needs wide receivers. He needs tight ends to catch the football for him, to run the appropriate routes. He needs to work out the timing with them. In the same breath, what he also needs to do is make sure that his offensive line shows up and is able to get the job done for him. All of these things are relevant. All of these things matter. And if you got Sam Darnold and those things are not aligned with one another, you're going to have a situation where ultimately he is the one who's struggling. And it might not even be his fault. So those are the kind of things that I'm worried about. And that's where I'm at with it. Redskins, I don't think much about the Redskins anyway. I think their defense will be relatively decent. Alex Smith is there as your quarterback, replacing Kirk Cousins, obviously. Jordan Reed, can he stay healthy? Who are your receivers? Doxson, am I supposed to be a believer in him as of yet? Who's your running back? I don't know. Matt Jones? Who? Those are the kind of things I'm thinking about. One of the other things I'm thinking about is tonight's game between Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Big Ben Roethlisberger is not going to play tonight because he's in a concussion protocol after running into an offensive lineman, snapping his head back and falling to the ground. Well, you got a concussion by running into an offensive lineman. Here's my question. What about when you get hit? If you can't take a hit running into somebody, how am I to believe that you're going to be able to take a hit when it really, really counts? These are the kind of things I'm worried about. And all I'm saying to you is, look, there's reasons to be concerned here. I'm certainly worried about it. And I think everybody else should be as well. And this notion that somehow, some way, somebody like Aaron Rodgers is under more pressure than Big Ben Roethlisberger, my response to that would be, what crack have y'all been smoking? Ain't nobody expecting anything from Aaron Rodgers. I don't care about Vegas odds makers talking about their top five. Please. Philadelphia, Minnesota, New Orleans, and the Rams easily come ahead of the Green Bay Packers in terms of expectations. I didn't even bring into the equation anybody in the AFC. I didn't even mention the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't even mention the Atlanta Falcons. I gave you 7 teams in the National Football Conference, the NFC, right off the bat. I don't want to hear that. And that's without mentioning the AFC. Pittsburgh and New England, first and foremost amongst them, and Jacksonville. And not necessarily in that order, obviously. So I don't know what the hell everybody's talking about. That's where I'm coming from with it. Aaron Rodgers can do no wrong. Everybody talk about, well, his brand, or he's trying to get a new contract. Aaron Rodgers could go 0-16 and still get a mega deal. If you paying Matthew Stafford, who's never won a playoff game in his career, the money that you're paying him in 9 years, how the hell are you going to deny Aaron Rodgers anything? Matt Ryan is a human roller coaster. Up one day, down the next. You paying him? Highest paid quarterback in the league. Blowing 25-point leads in the Super Bowl. I like Matt Ryan, but come on. Talk about quarterbacks getting passes. No one more so than him and Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford had Megatron, Calvin Johnson most of his years. So I really don't get it. I really don't understand it. That's just where I am with it. Then, of course, we have the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots. New England Patriots may have taken a step back. We all view it that way. They're not the same. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady speaking so glowingly about Bill Belichick. Interpret it any way you want to. He was speaking about their agendas. He wasn't speaking about their personal relationship. Their agenda is aligned with one another. And it's a working environment, so they got to get along. Got it. But Tom Brady ain't feeling this man, and nobody should feel this man. I have spoken against my man Carlton in Tampa on many, many, many occasions about how he's talked about Bill Belichick. But what Bill Belichick did in last year's Super Bowl was unforgivable. How do you not play Malcolm Butler? Malcolm Butler's smart. He ain't saying anything. He's in Tennessee now. He's not in New England. And with Vrabel there as the coach, the reality of the situation is you're playing for Bill Belichick disciples. It would be wise for you to shut the hell up and not say anything but the most kind, glowing words about Bill Belichick if you know better. It's up to the rest of us to speak. And here's the reality. Malcolm Butler played cornerback for Bill Belichick's New England Patriots 97.8% of touchdowns last year in the regular season. In the playoffs against Tennessee and then against Jacksonville, Malcolm Butler didn't miss a down. And then Bill Belichick decides to bench him for the Super Bowl for what is supposed to be in the best interest of the team. Unconscionable. I'm not going to go as far as to say Bill Belichick should have been fired because of that, because he's too great for that. But I will say this. If I'm Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick and I would have had a heart-to-heart conversation after that damn Super Bowl. And I'd have looked Bill Belichick dead in the face and said, I think you cost me a Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's factual because the Philadelphia Eagles might have still beaten them. What I'm saying is you got to give your team the best chance to win. And don't tell me you did that with us. That's what I would have said to Bill Belichick. Unconscionable what he did. Unconscionable. Having said all of that, it is the AFC East. That's the division. That's the division they play in. Jets, Dolphins, Bills, they ain't beating the Patriots. When you look at the AFC North, it's Pittsburgh. There's no excuse. There's plenty of more pressure on Big Ben Roethlisberger than it is for Aaron Rodgers. As far as I'm concerned, if Aaron Rodgers passed gas, his receivers and tight ends should be like, wow, that perfume smells beautiful. That's how Aaron Rodgers, how valuable he is to that franchise. I don't want to hear anything about anybody else complaining, especially some damn no-name rookie. But Big Ben Roethlisberger, that's a different animal. Enough's enough. You ain't been in the Super Bowl in damn near 8 years. Or literally 8 years. With the high-powered offense that you have 3 of the last 4 years, the Steelers have had a top 8 offense and a top 3 passing attack. You got the best running back in football. You got the best receiver in football. You got an offensive line that's comparable to almost anybody this side of Philadelphia and Dallas. What is your problem? Get it done, Big Ben. Get it done. Jacksonville, I'm believers in them because their defense is number 1 and elite. Their running game is stout in attempts and yards per carry. Blake Bortles is suspect. So I'm not going with Jacksonville. Andrew Luck is back. So what? The Colts ain't that great. Deshaun Watson's a stud. But I got to see J.J. Watt with Jadeveon Clowney and see how ferocious that defense is going to be. Jury's still out on Houston. Tennessee, you're a playoff team. I just don't believe in you. You're good enough to get there. You're good enough to beat teams during the regular season. Are you good enough to truly get it done? I don't think so. Transition to the AFC West. I'm still trying to figure out how the hell the Oakland Raiders don't have enough money to pay Khalil Mack, but got $100 million to give John Gruden, who was out of coaching for 10 years. And the 6 years he was coaching before that, he made the playoffs twice and never won a playoff game. Last time he was relevant was 15 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. John Gruden has forgotten more football than most of us know. He's an astute football mind, a good man, a great NFL analyst. He's a guru. But you don't give him $100 million when Bill Belichick ain't getting that. When Mike McCarthy's not getting that. When Mike Tomlin's not getting that. When Andy Reid's not getting that. When Pete Carroll's not getting that. When Sean Payton's not getting that. You don't give him $100 million. Not when you ain't take care of Khalil Mack. Kansas City, I'm supposed to hear all of this noise because Mahomes is supposed to be the second coming of Brett Favre. Well, with Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt and Travis Kelce, he damn well had better be. Because they got some ballers on the offensive side of the ball. The Chargers are no joke. Their defense will be big time. Their pass rush will be big time. Their running game should be stout. Phillip Rivers can throw. You got a few receivers. The Chargers should make the playoffs this year, especially since you missed it 7 times in the last 8 years. But I digress. My point is, you look at that, you look at Denver with John Elway trying to get a veteran backup. Case Keenum's there as your starter. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. And these boys trying to prove they still got it. We'll see. All I'm saying is, I got to see a lot more. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Lots to talk about with NFL preseason. Lots to talk about with some of these games. Jalen Ramsey saw what he said yesterday. Joe Flacco sucks. Ben Roethlisberger decent. Matt Ryan ain't good. Eli Manning comes back at him. Who? When told that Jalen Ramsey said he ain't that good, I'm thinking about Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think about him. Eli Manning paid no attention to that. Shoved it aside. Jalen Ramsey insulated himself. Why? Because he said, I don't think about Eli, I think about Odell Beckham Jr. So if he shows up on the field in opening weekend of the NFL season and scorches Jalen Ramsey to Odell Beckham Jr., Jalen Ramsey is able to say, I told you about Odell, he would get his. But Eli gets no credit. But if Eli Manning stinks up the joint, then Jalen Ramsey gets to say, I told you so. So he doesn't really he's really insulated himself from any criticism week one. Can't really judge him until he has that 4-game stretch when he goes against Andrew Luck, Ben Roethlisberger, Josh Allen, a rookie, assuming he throws for Buffalo, which he might not. And of course, Andrew Luck again, because he ain't have anything positive to say about those guys. All that and more are things we need to talk about. So stick around. Don't touch that dial. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast on Stephen A. Smith's on ESPN News. The Stephen A. Smith Show, live right here on ESPN News and more. Back with more in a minute.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha 990. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, is presented by Progressive Insurance. With more than 30 unique coverage options available, Progressive knows small business. Learn more at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Plus, I do have a question for all of you. Do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have an acid stashed everywhere in case it pops up. You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief, of course. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the country, Sirius XM Channel 80, plus simulcast live on ESPN News. The debut show on ESPN News was this past Monday. We're in week one of our simulcast on ESPN News. My man Carlton, a huge friend of the show, always welcome to call in. He's live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I wanted to ask that Patriot-loving...
Carlton, we couldn't hear you. Go ahead. Start again. Start again.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now, buddy.
Okay. I said I wanted to ask that Patriot-loving, Belichick apologizing, Hollywood sports lightweight you had on earlier, how much he's going to enjoy the sequel to the 2015 Seattle Seahawks. And that sequel is called the 2018 New England Patriots. Because just as when Pete Carroll fractured that locker room by favoring Russell Wilson over handing the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, giving Bill Belichick his 4th Super Bowl win there. No credit to Bill. Bill has fractured the New England Patriots by sitting Malcolm Butler and costing everybody on that team their Super Bowl ring. And we've already seen the effect of the fracture. We got 5 of the stars gone. Dion Lewis, Danny Amendola, Nate Solder, Brandon Cooks, and Malcolm Butler, all gone. We got Brady and Gronkowski sitting out of OTAs. They're not as dedicated as they were in years past. We got Bill Belichick taking it easy on the team, reported to be not as disciplinary as he's been in the past. And when they start losing, which they will, right out of the gate in their first 4 games, I believe they're going to lose at least 2. There's going to be finger pointing all around as to whose responsibility it is. And Stephen A., next time that toolbox Max Kellerman and you get into discussion about the greatest NFL coach of all time, would you please remind Max Kellerman that in over 7 seasons without Tom Brady as his starting quarterback, Bill Belichick is 9 games under 500 as an NFL
But that was
head coach?
Stop it, Carlton. Listen, I got critical of Bill Belichick too, but my God, that was 18 years ago. Come on, Carlton. 18 years ago?
Bill Belichick won 3 Super Bowls in his first 7 years when Ernie Adams was calling in the defensive alignments to Tom Brady on his helmet headset. Tom Brady knew exactly where to go because the Patriots had over 40 videotapes of other teams' defensive signals. And then in the next 8 years, from 2007 to 2014, Bill Belichick starts putting a pin in the football. And he actually only wins 1 Super Bowl. That happened to be the year he was busted for a Deflategate. And that's only because Pete Carroll had a brain freeze at the half-yard line and didn't hand it off to Marshawn.
Well, what about getting there, Carlton? What about getting there? What about the numerous 10-plus win seasons? What about that? What about dominance over the AFC East? What about the fact that they've been there? They've gone to 8 Super Bowls, for crying out loud. You can't ignore that.
I can explain that to you. You know, Pete Carroll's last 3 seasons with the New England Patriots, he was 27 and 21. Bill Belichick shows up with the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, Drew Bledsoe, and goes 5 and 13 until Mo Lewis puts Drew Bledsoe in the hospital and Brady comes out of left field and saves Bill Belichick's cookies. Tom Brady has carried Bill Belichick.
I got you.
I got you. What does Bill do? Throws Tom Brady under the bus for Deflategate, which is one of the biggest reasons why they have this fractured relationship. I pray for the day when Tom Brady retires and Bill Belichick reverts to his 500 self. But I think already Darth Vader has been neutered. The Lance Armstrong of football is done. They're over.
I got you, Carlton. It's not over yet, Carlton. I appreciate it, but it's not over because they're in the AFC East, but we'll talk about it. I appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Mike. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Mike. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Talk to me.
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm a retired veteran. I spent 13 months in Afghanistan, and I did 15 months in Ramadi, Iraq. And
thank you for your service. Thank you for your service to our country.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Greatest country in the world that's ever been, Stephen A. Smith. When you said that Donald Trump has hijacked the protest, the only thing Donald Trump did is hijack it back for America. The players of the NFL disrespected our country and our flag. And you know what? No one likes young men of color being shot down the street by police officers. We get all that. But they're going about it the wrong way by disrespecting our flag and our country. We all agree.
Stop. Whoa. Mike, let me interrupt you. Let's have a quick conversation about this. It has to be quick, though, okay?
Yes,
the fact of the matter is you and others, including our great servicemen and women who have served this country honorably and protects our rights as American citizens. Let's be clear. You comprehend English. You know good and well those players have religiously and repeatedly stated that under no circumstances were they making an attempt to disrespect the flag. They were exercising their rights as American citizens to highlight and bring light to issues permeating our country. Colin Kaepernick spoke with and got the approval of a soldier to take the knee because he didn't mean disrespect, and the players themselves did that. Now, you can disagree with their position. You can disagree with their timing, but let's not misconstrue or misrepresent what their position was. It was not an issue of patriotism. A matter of fact, it was incredibly patriotic because they were making the point that what we're doing is reminding everybody of what America is supposed to be about, this great country of ours, and that we have individuals here that are not living up to what America is supposed to be about. That's entirely different than disrespecting the flag, sir.
No, I hear you, Stephen A. But my point is, we are all on their sides. Nobody wants to see young men of color shot down unarmed by police officers. But we will stand with you, but they have to stop kneeling. They have to stand up with us. If you kneel, you stand for nothing, sir. That's my point. I love your show.
Oh,
man.
I got you. I see what you're saying. Before I let you go, let me ask you this last question, Mike, if you don't mind. What did you think about my proposal? What did you think about the proposal that I made just a couple of days ago? They should stop kneeling because that's not accomplishing anything. Instead, what they should do is they should march on Washington. All of the NFL players should march on Washington. There would be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who would join them. They could take their case to the steps of the Capitol Hill and commit to doing so annually as a collective body of individuals until these issues are addressed to their satisfaction. What were your thoughts about that idea?
Stephen A., I'll be right there marching with them.
So would I. Would I.
My whole point is we have the greatest country that the world has ever seen, and they shouldn't disrespect it. We have problems just like any other country, but we are the best, and together, we're only going to solve this together. That's all I want to say.
I tell you the greatest argument about making sure that you don't even come across as being disrespectful. The times that we're living in globally, you almost feel compelled to come together as a nation now more so than ever to insulate ourselves from outside enemies a bit better, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. I march right with you guys, man. I love the show. A great show. Keep going, man. Hey, I'm glad you wore a tie today. You know what I mean?
I wear a tie every day. I just took it off yesterday after I did television, but it's no big deal. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus simulcast on ESPN News. Week 1 of my show being simulcast. Started Monday. I'm going to be here every day, right here on national television as well. By the way, surprise a friend or loved one today with a bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. So go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Also, it's been a long season, off season that is, without football, but FanDuel has spent it getting into the best shape of their lives. That means this. FanDuel is ready for more. More ways to play, more ways to challenge your friends, and more importantly, more ways to win. And FanDuel also has new options for playing daily fantasy with your friends, because the only thing better than winning cash is winning your friends cash. They even have preseason fantasy contests running up to week 1 of the NFL. Right now, you can get a $20 bonus when you make your first deposit on FanDuel. So just sign up at FanDuel.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. Age and state restrictions absolutely do apply. Your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! When's the last time you were at the game or concert? Go to vividseats.com/ESPN today for your exclusive discount offer. Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Back to the phones before we get on out of here for today. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Kenny, talk to me. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. How you doing? Love your show.
I'm good. Thank you, man.
Stephen A., let me ask you. I was just listening to Carlton, and he just cracked me up. Quick question for you. Do you think Bill Belichick is the GOAT?
I think he's the GOAT of the modern era, but I don't give him the edge over Bill Walsh or Bill Parcells because of Spygate.
I got a name for you, Stephen.
Tom, because of two reasons: Spygate and Tom Brady.
I got a name for you, Stephen A. Vince Lombardi.
Yes. Okay.
5 championships in 10 years.
I'm not disputing you, but I was born in 1967. You understand my problem with that?
I was born in 63, so we were both too young to really appreciate him. But
that's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying let's acknowledge our guilt. We can't appreciate Lombardi. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that you might be right. I'm not disputing it. I'm saying that's why I might have slipped with that. You see my point?
Right. The modern era is probably Bill Belichick, but all time it's got to be Lombardi.
Okay, Lombardi. All right. I can't. Well, you know what? What about Tom Landry? If you want to go that route.
Well, he didn't win 5 Super Bowls.
What about wait a minute. What about Chuck Noll? He won 4 and was undefeated.
I know,
won 4 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What about him?
They're all great, but Lombardi did it 5 times in 10 years.
Okay,
that's unbelievable, man. I mean, if you really think,
that's true.
And one more thing, on the baseball issue, how about a little chin music like Gibson and Don Drysdale used to do?
Okay, all I'm saying is this: why don't you go out there and try to get somebody out? That's what people pay to see. People pay to see.
You're 100% right. They should not get hit. But how about a little chin music like Bob Gibson used to do?
Oh yeah. Get off the plate. Don't swallow the plate. Get your behind off there. Back up a little bit. Yeah, I can live with that one. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Let's go to Rashid. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick. Go ahead, Rashid.
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A?
I'm all right. You only got a minute, buddy. Go ahead.
Hey, look here. I'm gonna touch on a subject close and dear to your heart, which is the Steelers. And I think the media sometimes overlooks this point. All right. A lot of people talk about the defense, how much talent the Steelers have had. I personally think Todd Haley's been a big issue. And if you've noticed, in coordination with Todd Haley leaving, Big Ben all of a sudden he's talking about getting in shape. He's talking about he's playing for more years. I don't think it had anything
I'm
to do
not putting
with,
that, Rashid, stop. Rashid, I'm not putting that on Todd Haley. I don't want to hear that now. I mean, Todd Haley don't have anything to do with you having the intestinal fortitude and being a self-motivated to make sure you're in tip-top condition and ready to rumble. You got to show up.
Now, hold on.
Todd Haley don't have anything to do with that.
I'm not giving Big Ben a pass for anything he's done. But what I'm asking all the public and the media to take a look at, which has been avoided for years, is that Todd Haley, ever since he arrived in Pittsburgh, the cohesiveness of that unit has been bad. I think one of the worst – I love the Steelers organization. But one of the worst decisions they ever made was getting rid of Bruce Arians.
I got you. I told you I got to run on out of here. But you say getting rid of Bruce Arians, but he went with Pagano, ultimately became a head coach for 1 year while Pagano was sick, and then he transferred that in the head coaching job at Arizona. And at Arizona, he wasn't that great as a head coach, even though I respect the hell out of Bruce Arians. But I get what you're saying about Todd Haley. We'll see what he does in